Welcome to Nkwazi Unfiltered. It's a place where we have conversations that are, as the name suggests, unfiltered. We talk to people and we get to hear things about them that probably nobody knows. So today is no exception because we have a truly awesome gem and a national treasure. And she's none other than Esther Chungu Nyatando. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, big bro. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too.
There's
I'm
this,
so excited.
This amazing glow about you.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm liking the fact that you've got yellow going on and I've got a yellow.
Exactly.
Family colors.
It's a family thing.
Yeah, it's a family thing. It's a family thing. Now, it is great to have you here.
Thank you.
And we've seen your career skyrocket over the years. We've watched it from the very beginning and it grows from strength to strength.
Right.
But something changed about a year and 2 weeks ago, if my memory serves me right. You became a mother.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love that. I love the emphasis on the time frame.
Exactly. We've been watching. Like we said, we've been watching. So what happened in that moment? How has motherhood changed Esther?
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm feeling pressure because of your great voice.
Oh.
So if I change my voice, forgive me so much.
No, it's okay. Just lower octave,
So-
just drop the octave, you'll be fine.
Yes. No, honestly, thank you so much for that question. Everything changed about me, big bro. I feel like I see life in a new sense.
Yeah.
I've always had, that empathy side to me, but it's like 100 times more. Whenever I look at someone, I always feel this is someone's child, this is someone's daughter, someone's son, because of where I'm at now. And it's such a joy. It's such a great privilege, to be given by God to be someone's mother. I'm so humbled.
Now, I love the fact that you say it's changed the way you view humanity in totality. It's now more personal.
Yes.
And I mean, babies seem small, but they're the real bosses.
It's true.
Because they completely transform our lives.
Exactly.
Now, has the fact that you're a mother now weaved its way into your music? How do you write songs now from a new perspective? Because you wrote songs for all of us.
Right.
Like, hey, all and sundry.
Yes.
Now that there's a person who's like the focal point of pretty much all of your love, what has that done to your songwriting?
That's another really beautiful question, Mr. Kamiza. I feel like there's a certain part of my relationship with God that has also come to light after being a mother. You also see who God is as your parent with new eyes. Of course, we can't understand everything because God is just God. But even when I'm writing now, I try by all means to bring out and reflect the importance of our relationship with God because of my relationship with Malachi. Yeah.
No, I love that. So aside from being bosses, babies are also teachers.
It's true. That's so true.
So you don't need someone who knows more than you to teach you something.
I love that.
What has Malachi taught you?
Malachi has first of all taught me that I'm not a heavy sleeper anymore.
Goodbye, sleep.
Goodbye, sleep. Honestly, I used to be a serious heavy sleeper. Mr. Netando and I would joke about it even before having Malachi. Like, hey, when you be hearing the baby cry, I'm like, I'm nervous. I don't know if I'll be hearing it. But honestly, he just moves, he just coughs, I'm up. That's something that I guess God has already placed in us that comes to life after the baby comes. But that's something that Malachi has taught me. And also just appreciating who he is. I've learned that, in the 1 year, 2 weeks that has passed, I see how he changes, from the Malachi I knew yesterday, he's a different person today. So giving him that space to be who God has called him to be from being a child, I think that has also helped me to understand the importance of patience, the importance of true acceptance. Like I love Malachi not because he has started walking or he started crawling, but just because he is. I love him. Yeah,
it's amazing. As a parent, you get a front row seat in watching the development of another human being.
Of course, exactly.
And it's crazy. My mom puts it this way.
Yeah.
Ni mumara wakokola. Because
Chishinga.
when you're waiting for them,
Chishinga.
it's like they take forever to
Yes.
show up. And
Yes.
then from day one, literally in a week, you're like, wow, this person's changing.
Exactly.
A month later, they're a completely different person.
Exactly.
And in a year's time, you're like, I'm seeing personality here, I'm
Yes.
seeing attitude, and I'm seeing this
Yes.
person's got their own will. And you start to realize, okay. And the funny thing, though,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true for you. They say our kids are payback for everything we put our parents through. Yeah, that laugh says it all.
No, to be honest, it's more from Mr. Nyatando.
Oh,
Mr.
he's the
Nyatando's
one who's put you in
childhood.
trouble, eh? Okay, yeah, no, you have put us all into trouble now.
I'm
Serious
telling
trouble.
you, I'm telling
Serious
you.
trouble.
Serious trouble.
No, but it happens, and you start to see little elements of yourself in them.
Yes, true.
And I'm sure you're seeing that.
Definitely, I am seeing that. Of course, and already I can see what attributes he has of his dad,
Yeah.
and also some attributes that he has, from me.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact he will love art because he loves to sing, he loves to dance.
Surprise.
Surprise.
I mean, I wonder where he got that from.
I wonder where that came. That's
Wow,
so
singing?
random.
How? Music? No, you don't say.
Really, he can keep a key, like that. La 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 la.
But he
I'm
cries
like,
in key.
How?
Ad-libs.
With my ad-libs. So we really won't be surprised if at all he,
Yeah.
chooses to go that route.
Yeah.
But definitely we can see more of his personality as
Yeah.
he grows. Yeah.
Now, you are an artist. You run a talk show, and you're also a mother. Tell us about that juggling and balancing act.
That's an intense one, Kamiza, because especially as a woman, to an extent, it's like we somewhat, and I'll be a little vulnerable here, we somewhat fear that if we maybe step away a little bit from what we've known
Yeah.
our whole lives,
Yeah.
we'll either be forgotten or replaced or whatnot.
Yeah.
So sometimes we put pressure on ourselves, and that's something that I've always told God, especially after being a mother, that may I not find myself in that space because the importance of this ministry that has begun now,
Yeah.
that's more important than the brand and everything else. And family is very important. I remember, I think you shared something that Pastor Walker mentioned on the pulpit about how family is the first ministry to an
Number
extent,
one.
and the church later. So sometimes we do this.
True.
Yes.
True.
And our children end up not even knowing us. But
Exactly.
we're very active at church.
Oh, yeah, no,
you know?
legends at church. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's something that Mr. Netando and I always talk about.
Yeah.
And so understanding what to prioritize at what time has really helped me.
Yeah.
It may look like, oh, Esther, you've been working, but sometimes even the team that we have at work has really, really helped, because sometimes you do a lot of things in good time and in advance, then you just roll it out. That's the beauty of social media also sometimes.
Yeah.
So that has helped me even to be more present with Malachi, to be very intentional about being a mother before everything else. But of course, complementing everything else with the help that we have in our community.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No. It's funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
The fact that we've got so many options is a blessing that we take very lightly.
For granted, yeah.
And before we went online, we were talking about how if you're in the Western world, it's difficult to have help.
Oh, it is.
It is extremely difficult.
It is.
One, it's expensive.
Yes.
Two, it's just not something that usually happens.
Right,
so
right.
you fend for yourself. But I can clearly tell that you've got a community around you,
I'm
and it's like
telling you.
it takes a village to raise a child,
It
and you're
really-
living that out.
It really takes a village to raise a child, big bro. And I really, if there's anybody watching, let's take advantage of the culture we have in Africa, in Zambia, our mothers, our aunties, our friends, them being there for us. Let's allow them to be there for us. Because sometimes we may enter this space of, I want to do it all to prove
Exactly.
something to myself.
Exactly.
But it's okay to rest. I remember when I just had Malachi, we stayed at my mother and father-in-law's place with my mom
Right.
and auntie, and there were people around, so I would rest, maybe in the night the baby's keeping me awake, but in the morning they would allow me to rest. I eat,
lovely.
and that helped me to heal fully, and it helped me even with the postpartum, because that's another conversation for mothers. It really really helped me, big bro. So there's an importance to that community, because in the Western world it's another story, and they have their own story to tell. But we should be grateful for the community we have, and it has
100%.
really helped me, honestly.
And how does it feel to no longer be mommy's favorite? Because I know the love's shifted.
All the time. I'm like, mommy, I'm also fine. Hi, Esther, where's the baby? Where's boy? There's the video for baby. I'm like, okay,
you
babe.
no longer exist. No, accept that fact.
I'm telling
you see people who are tough and strict suddenly become all soft as it. And their grandkids can do no wrong.
Anything.
So
anything goes.
just learn to live with it.
Exactly.
Right? Just accept that as our reality.
I think I'm accepting it now.
I hear you. Let's shift gears and talk about music.
Right.
So obviously, you understand sound. You understand music. It's your language.
Right.
There's a question that I need to ask you. How do you manage to interpret a song that's come out and that you've recorded and you are feeling it all the way through into visuals and finally into a music video? Because that's a challenge that I know a lot of artists have, to transfer their dream and their vision, which they were able to express in their gift, into a video. How do you work through that process? Walk us through that process.
Yeah, that's a very, very important and tough question, big bro. So honestly, and I'm really grateful that the music industry has really grown in Zambia. And even as far as visuals, videographers, like they're really putting in a lot of work. So I think it makes things a little easier. Now, sometimes you have this vision in your head, right? So when you listen to a song, maybe for example, it's Jehovah. You listen to a song and you're envisioning it a certain way. And then when you're trying to share that vision, maybe you don't even know how to fully express it as well. I think that would be one of the challenges I would say I've had before, as far as making visuals to songs, especially songs that I really, really love.
Exactly.
But also allowing people around you to also express what they get from the song, I think has really helped to really just bring out the beauty in the video, in the visuals of the song, because that also brings to life a certain side of the song that may have not been seen. And, more people get to see it, more people get to be blessed by it. So definitely, I think it's a two-way thing. Sometimes don't be too rigid just because it's your song. Allow Mr. Kamiza to share his thoughts. Like, okay, I feel maybe Jehovah should be a black and white video. Or maybe, that type of thing. And then see what now works for you and what marries your vision. I think that has helped me also.
So again, you retain the issue of community. I've noticed you're one of the artists that does pre-listening engagements. How does that help you to ascertain which songs are really hitting home with people? So does that help out?
Definitely, that helps out because sometimes you can be in the studio, right? And you convince yourself, sometimes even convince your producer or even convince each other that this will be the one a lot of people, will have in terms of mass. But you find that maybe it won't hit home as much as you would have loved it to. And you just love it maybe personally as an artist because it means something to you. And then another song that you're not even really like preempting and saying, oh, this will be big, is the one that's now big.
Everyone feels like, oh, I can relate. Exactly.
So also the listening parties and everything, those really help because you hear from the people before it's even released. Like we really love this one. We really love this particular one. An example would be Chikangawe. When we were making Chikangawe, it was just for like the fun, like just praise.
Fun, I
didn't really see it being as big as it is because it has really carried us these years, and we're so grateful for that. So there's moments like that where you're just having fun, you're praising God, and then it's that song that you're known by.
Now, this is a question that every artist dreads, just like every parent
dreads.
So I won't phrase it the way people phrase it normally.
Okay.
The normal phrasing is, so, which are your favorite songs? No. So I won't say that. What I'll say instead is this.
Okay.
Which songs carry the most significance for you over your catalog of albums?
That's a deep question. It's a deep question that might even make me emotional. I'm an emotional person.
Okay, let's find a box of tissues here.
Be on standby, please. Okay, so let's walk through Mubanga. From Mubanga, I would say if I am to choose one song, definitely Jehovah. Jehovah, because there's just something about that song that reminds me of how God how present God has been in my life from the very beginning, and how present God was during the Mubanga recording.
Yeah.
This is just a broke girl who has, hopes
dreams
and
and
big
visions.
dreams and
Yeah.
visions.
Yeah.
And, brothers come along, people like Mark 44, people like
Yeah.
Stephen Mwale,
Yeah.
who, see the dream and want to also, put in something. And I remember for Jehovah especially, because funny enough, I've forgotten most of the studio sessions with the other songs.
Wow.
But for Jehovah, I remember when I reached at the studio, what I was going through, how I
Hey.
walked from China. Have you ever walked? No, you've never walked from there. But
Oh no, trust.
But I'm letting
trust.
you.
Trust.
From
That's a
China
whole different
there
story.
to inside PHI, there's that road.
Oh yes.
I walked it, big bro. I walked it on an empty stomach to go and now sing Jehovah. And it just hit home, because in that moment I was worshiping God for who he is, not for what he has done, what I would like him to do. Because I remember, I think I've mentioned this before in other interviews, I remember I was in second year at Rema.
Right.
Mom had just lost her job. We had just been evicted from, where we were staying. So our sister started keeping us, which we're so grateful for. And it was in Lilai, which was quite far. So it was a lot of, dynamics, coming to school and whatnot, and recording the album. So I remember how, for me, Jehovah carried me through that time,
Wow.
And it's really the name above every other name.
Hey.
Like Muliba Kulu. We can't even fathom how great God is,
Wow.
And so definitely Jehovah in Mubanga. We go to April.
Yeah. Now I'm getting emotional. It explains why
Right.
those vocals
I'm telling
pack
you,
a
like
punch.
when I sing Jehovah on stage, it's a personal
Yeah,
thing.
no, it's a testimony. It means
Right,
something.
exactly.
Oh, man. Do go on.
Yeah. So for April, I think I would say, of course, Chikangabo is a great song because it's a praise song, and it also reflects my personality, because I'm very bubbly, I'm very happy, and that I love how God created me. I love that.
And don't ever be apologetic about
Thank
that.
you.
It makes you you. Yeah,
Thank
and
you,
if you suddenly became very serious,
Yes,
no,
like, hello.
no, we would have problems.
I'm blessed of
No,
God.
it's like, what's up with the
Why
woman
is
of
Tani
God?
Chani?
Esther, what's happened?
What's happening?
No, don't ever change.
Right, thank you for that. But I think I would also place Little Bird as a song that would reflect even where I was at during that time of April as well. April was recorded during COVID, I think. Yes.
Right,
So we released
right.
it October 2020, and the whole year we were all home. So that's what happened. And then I think for Umwala, I would definitely place Chibebebe up there. It's a cry to God to never leave us nor forsake us. And he's assured us, and I'm just letting him know, like, I don't want you to leave me, So it's just a song reflecting, who
Right,
God is and
right.
who we are without him. So definitely I'll place Chibebebe there. And also Success to an extent.
Right.
Because, sometimes in the walk, in the journey, you go through so many things. There's, cyberbullying, there's all of these things that sometimes you just have to keep in, you just have to take in, but success is somewhat a reflection of, at the end of the day, what matters is what God sees in me, who he says about me,
Right.
and me showing up and doing my best to be, the woman that God has called me to be. So definitely, I think I'd say those two songs.
Amazing. Yeah, and with regards to working with different teams, I know you haven't worked with one
Right.
videographer over the years.
Yeah.
How have you managed to still be able to convey what you're feeling with different videographers? Because we've seen very different styles in the way the videos are produced.
Yes,
It's not the same, it's the same old
Yes.
formula. Okay, it starts with her looking away, and
she
then
looks
she turns
here.
into it's a sweeping shot. No, each video is basically a very different organism. It's got a life of its own.
Yeah.
How do you manage to do that? Because that can't be easy.
Right. No, it's not easy. I think what has helped is, of course, like you've mentioned, working with different people, because everybody brings a different, touch
Right.
to a project, and so allowing them to also have some sort of creative.
It's a creative
Impact.
license and
Yeah,
impact.
exactly,
Great.
around
Great.
on the project, I think has really helped to have that
Yeah.
sort of diversity, but also still keeping who
Yes.
Esther is. Yes, in songs, especially like the praise songs, I love to dance. I
Yeah.
love to be colorful.
Yeah.
Yes, so the fashion side as well. Working with different.
Right.
Stylists and designers.
Right.
I think that also helps to just bring the dream to life. So definitely we go back to community.
That
Yeah.
works. That always
Yeah.
works. Yeah. And so I know for a fact that you never stop working.
Amen.
Yeah, you're just always on the go.
What's
next? Yeah, what's next? Exactly. Like, what's next?
Yeah.
Can we expect a few more videos soon?
Definitely. There's actually one that will be released very soon.
Really?
Yes.
No, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. And we'll jump onto the socials and we will comment and we will share.
Please do.
And we will post those links, guaranteed.
Exactly.
Ah, that is brilliant. And moving on to the other side of you, talk shows.
Yeah.
Tell us about Blossom with Esther Chungu.
Yes, Blossom with Esther Chungu. So Blossom started, I've always wanted to do my own thing.
Right.
And I'm grateful to God to have been given the opportunity to work on a talk show that I was known for. Like, Esther is one of, the
Right,
ladies who are
right.
on this particular talk show. And from there, the growing happened and, entered a certain season, a new season.
Right.
And so I didn't want the momentum to leave because I've always loved media and I've always had the dream to use my voice,
Right.
for God's glory,
Right.
to bring to light, God's word and help like-minded people, of course, in the Christian community. So I didn't want that fire to to stop. So we just started something on YouTube, and we called it Blossom with Esther Chungu. So I spoke to a few of people, the people that I look up to, people like Madam Mizingamelu,
Right,
Chile
right,
Shebwalia.
right.
I had Pastor T and his beautiful wife, Pastor Chibwe, speak about marriage. And we just started it. I just wanted to at least start something
Right,
without seeing the whole stairs and the whole steps.
Right.
I just said, you know what, God, do with this what you will. But I really just want to use my voice in the media space because I feel we don't have many Christian, platforms, especially in Zambia.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that's how we did that. I think we just did 5 episodes. And next thing, I was in conversation with
Right.
Radio Christian Voice, and they say, we just talked about, the possibilities of working together
Wow.
on season 2 of Blossom
Right.
with Esther Chungu.
Right.
And they loved it. They said, let's put our minds together. Let's see what we can do.
Brilliant.
And we ended up partnering. And so
Yeah.
now we have Blossom season 2, which is now online, both on YouTube and on Radio Christian Voice.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And how do you pick your topics?
That's a good one. So
Yeah.
usually we pick the topics before production, like pre-production. So we sit down. So there's the country director for Radio Christian Voice, Wangel. And then there's people there at Radio Christian Voice.
Right.
And also myself. So we sit down, we talk about what we would like people to walk away with, first of all. What do we want people to learn whenever they listen to a topic that's
nice.
on Blossom? And that's how we now break down, like, okay, what are the youth going through? What are
Right,
things we need to
right.
talk about,
Right.
that maybe on the pulpit may take too long or it's just not, addressed and whatnot. So who can we reach out to on this platform?
Right.
And that's how we pick the topics.
Okay.
So there are quite some heavy topics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some that are a little lighter, like for season 2, we said, okay, let's start from the beginning.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, our target audience is Christians, right?
Right.
And of course, we would love, even non-believers to hop on it and, maybe get some inspiration and want to get to know God more. However, we started from the beginning. Who is a a Christian, like for
Right.
season 2. And we were very intentional about what comes after, like what church can you go to? What's a Bible believing church? What does it
Right.
look like?
Right.
And then it started getting
Right.
a little deeper, conversations
Nice.
like how do you love,
Yeah.
a gay neighbor and whatnot. Like these are conversations that we kind of try
Yeah.
to, I think we're good as Christians. We won't talk about it,
Yeah.
even if it's, it's something that we need to deal with. How do we love people the way God wants us to love people? How do we represent God, as his ambassadors? All of those questions are tackled on Blossom.
Yeah, I've noticed Blossom isn't afraid of the controversial topics. And also isn't afraid of the stuff nobody wants to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that is very commendable because
It's a lot of
yeah, I know. But how do you handle the possibility of being clapped back by the public?
Exactly.
Hey, how can you be talking about
How
this?
can you be talking about that?
Yeah.
We've discussed all of that. And one of the things that we were also very intentional about is who's going to be answering those questions.
Right.
We didn't want it to just be conversations about opinions, like, I think. And then that's why we've been intentional about inviting preachers, servants of God,
Right.
pastors,
Right.
bishops,
Right.
and people who, the word of God is their daily bread, and they break it down. So they help us to break it down.
Okay.
We have definitely considered that what would happen if maybe this is not taken well. At the end of the day, it's about sharing the truth in
Right.
love, and
Right.
we've done our part, and it's up to the next person to either grow or just say this is not for me, and which is fine. I've gotten backlash before.
Yeah.
So yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not like, we're here to just make sure that everybody likes us,
Yeah.
but to truly just speak the truth in love and do our part and move along.
And how do you find Blossom complementing your music career? Are there any topics where you've had a conversation, you've sat and said, wow, that's something that needs to be spoken about? And because you express yourself through your music, has Blossom then influenced some of the songs that perhaps you've already written or are going to write?
Going to write, definitely. I think it complements it in the sense that it's both ministry, to an extent.
Right.
It's just
Right.
that we're speaking this side and then we're singing on the other side. Definitely, there's conversations that I've had with, the pastors that have left me like, wow, I've never seen it that way. And definitely through music, it can also, reach out to even more
Exactly.
people. So definitely it has affected how I see things and how I would like to write about particular things. Like, parents, of course, we go back to parenting, like parenting and raising children, especially in this generation.
Right.
And like, what does God expect of us as the custodians? What does God expect of us as the grown-ups who are raising this next generation? I would love to sing more about that, because I think the only song I have that maybe touches on children and parenting would be Umwana kasembe kalakoma kawe.
Right.
Yes, that's the one from Mubanga.
Right.
Yes, but I would really love to explore that more, especially after being a mother myself.
Yeah. So new context to
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
The journey continues.
The journey continues.
Speaking of the journey,
Yeah.
how have you observed the changes in the music industry here in Zambia? In fact, in answering that, I'll ask you to tell us how it was right at the beginning, the very first time you realized, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be a singer.
Yes.
This is who I am. I'm
Yeah.
not going to fight this. I'm not going to try and be something else and then sing on the side.
Yeah.
This is who I am.
Yes.
And how that journey has evolved, especially with the industry transforming. I know, and I'm going to preempt you because I know for a fact that for the longest time, gospel singers, church girl.
Yes.
Just sing.
Yes.
And suddenly, you're on public platforms and you're standing on stages and sharing stages with numerous other people and other artists.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's a recognition. How has that journey unfolded for you?
That's a really good one, a very good question. So, so from the very beginning, right? I think I would say I didn't see how big the industry would be, especially with the gospel sector,
Right,
because that's the
right.
sector I'm in. When I was just starting out, I think you could even maybe count the number of, as far as videographers, like the people who were really
Right.
known back then. Because officially, I released my debut album in 2016, of December 2016.
Right.
And so seeing how the industry has grown from then to now, definitely, especially through visuals, is a lot, because we have more people, even photographers.
True.
We have more
True.
people now,
True.
and there's more. What's the word? Like selection and options.
Correct.
So that has really, really helped, even as far as employment. And that's something that I really feel we should invest in, because we have so much to offer, in the industry, entertainment industry at large. So definitely, I think I see a difference, especially for the gospel, because now it's like, to an extent, we're taken more seriously, and I don't know why we're not taken seriously from the very beginning.
True, true.
But there's so much that has changed, because even in the corporate space, you get to see, some gospel artists become that, and me being one of them, which I'm really grateful for, become brand ambassadors for, big companies and whatnot.
Exactly.
And you see, God opening those doors. And it's just something that it's like there's more respect for you being an artist.
Yes.
Even just like an artist in general. Because in the beginning, I would be asked a lot, even like by my aunties. Mom, I'm really grateful, has supported me from the beginning. But like aunties, uncles, so kuimba fiole chaya,
ni hobby.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
But you see, like when you reach a certain point, I think they say, wow, this has really worked for Esther, and we commend you for your hard work and whatnot. But they see that really God's hand has been upon this person, and they see that there's actually way more that you can do, with your talents in Zambia.
Right.
I think compared to 8 years ago, now you can go to your parents. Of course, I don't know. I'm sure people are still, but of course, like compared to 8 years ago, it's a conversation that maybe you can even have.
Right.
But back then it's like, I don't even want to hear anything about music or art and whatnot. So definitely that has also really changed. And even the gospel space, and how we're just taken more seriously now. And I pray that we're, even more opportunities are born, especially for the gospel sector, because we are carrying the good news. We're carrying the good news to the world.
True.
Yeah.
True. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's got a lot to do with how the artists perceive themselves. You will be treated the way you treat yourself.
Exactly.
So people just reciprocate the level of respect that you have. Can I speak to your manager? I don't have one. I'm the artist, I'm the manager. I'm the publicist.
All of that, that's very important.
I'm carrying my own gear and I'm setting up, I'm the one plugging. And you're like, okay. And then they see an artist who's not a gospel artist, and they have an entourage. And they're like, this is a more organized individual.
Exactly.
So I think there was a lot of this whole, hey, we sing in church, hallelujah.
But
don't mind the voice, just listen to the message. You've been there, done that. And then when artists start to take themselves seriously, society also sat up and said, they mean business.
Exactly.
So I must say thank you for taking the punches and rolling with them on behalf of the next generation. They have it a lot easier.
Exactly.
Because you went off and went ahead of them and did what you did.
Thank you.
Now, there's a moment, I know, and I love that you highlighted that Jehovah means so much to you in terms of your repertoire of songs. Now, there's a moment that happened. I was in church and I exited church and I went on to socials and I was like, hey?
What's happening?
I said, hey? Lo and behold, there was a Zambian young lady in New York. On a stage with Coldplay. I was like, hey? No, me being me, immediately sent that off to my pastor. I said, Pastor, you won't believe what's going on. And this was between services.
Yeah.
He took one look and literally held his head.
Wow.
And that moment made its way into the sermon.
Yes.
And he wrote a paragraph on how this is a young lady who is representing Jesus. And she's standing on a world stage with Coldplay.
Coldplay.
I mean, I had goosebumps in that.
Right.
How was that moment for you?
It was, I think up to now, Big Bro, it remains like one of the most surreal moments in my life. You know, like, did that happen?
Like, wait, pinch me.
Someone pinch me. Yeah, it was not to ask to pinch me. That's it.
Go up and turn to someone and you, Shinako.
Please, Shinako, please.
Shinako, what's that?
Shinako. Honestly, people, like how everything came together. It's really just God. And, you know, the first time I met them, I actually just met Chris Martin.
Right.
And, you know, he asked me to sing. And I sang Jehovah. And he said, and then he invited me to come and sing again in New York. I said, are you serious? Or are you just playing? Like, what's going on?
And then,
you know, like, all of those things. And I prayed about it and I was just so calm about it and I felt at peace. And I was so excited because I had been listening to Coldplay like since I was maybe 15, 16.
Right.
They are quite an old group that have been together and they still love each other so much. And like honestly, I didn't know how, like I just up to now I don't know what words to use. But really it was just God. And in that moment I just said, you know what, God, I'm having this moment. And it was so funny because it was literally the last segment of the night. Wow. There were so many artists. Coldplay was the very last one. And I think Jehovah was, one of the, maybe the fourth last. I don't know if that's everything. But yeah, I think you understood it. Fourth last. Yeah. But right then to like Tutafikumbi, yes. You know, but really just to have been used by God in that moment. Yeah. This Bemba girl who grew up in Matero, you know, and has found herself in New York proclaiming Jehovah. The people are not even understanding but they've understood the name Jehovah. Yeah. And that's really what mattered in that moment. And when I got off stage, so many people, you know, like approached me, some with tears in their eyes, like I didn't understand what you were singing. But honestly, there's something that's nobody
at home.
And I really pray that that's a seed that, you know, was planted and they found out who God was more after. But really, it was a very beautiful moment that I always remember. And it reminds me that truly nothing is impossible for God. And whatever it is, if you are available, He will use you to take, you know, the news. Who would have thought an African to go and, you know, sing in Europe and come back?
Explain that.
You know. And I remember there was so much going on social media. And I remember actually what Pastor Walker wrote. Yep. And one of the things that really, really moved me, and I was so grateful to God, because you know how Pastor Walker shares it.
Oh, yes.
He said, like, just a reminder, it's the child of God. It's not Beyonce. Esther Chungu, the child of God. And I always remember that, you know. And that's a very important thing, because sometimes even when God takes you somewhere, you can, you know, easily get confused and, you know, lose yourself. But remembering why you're there, whether it's just for those 5 minutes and you not go back to New York, that's you and God. God
in that moment.
Whatever He wanted to do in that moment. So definitely a beautiful moment.
I agree. And you say people were teary-eyed and emotional. I mean, they say music is a language that only the soul has ears to hear. That's why if it hits you, it hits you. It's like, what just happened?
Yes.
What just happened?
Yeah.
Now, over the years, obviously, you've had many musical influences. Who would you credit as your greatest musical influence?
That's a very, very lovely question. I think I would say, well, my mom sings, by the way.
Oh.
So, yes, she sings. So
when
she goes in the choir. Definitely, it's coming out of the
duets. Mom,
so
please.
Exactly, Mama. So growing up, she's definitely that voice that I would always look up to when she's in the choir, she's singing. And I was like, I really love, you know, singing, and I would really love to see, you know, what God has in store. But I didn't see it become this big, you know, a part of my life. However, I'm grateful because I've seen, my mother sing, practically all the youth days of her life.
Right.
And she is in ministry and she's a dreamer right now. So definitely growing up, I would say mom had that big voice for me. But in terms of like music and right now, definitely, I think the one person I would say would definitely be Minister Sisi Wainan. I love that woman. I love that woman so much. And to see just how she had taken a break, Pakatiapa, and to see how, God has, just revived her and is using her in this generation still. It's just so beautiful to see. And I'll throw in Minister Don Moyen as well. Honestly, that's a man who's loved God since I don't know when, and to see he's still on fire.
Exactly. Still burning around the world.
Exactly.
Yes,
it's very, very encouraging. It's very, very encouraging. And locally, of course, our amazing gospel artists around. I think they've also played a role in how I see, worship and how I see praise. And so definitely those people are people I would say I've really looked up to because of how long they have stayed faithful to God in a crazy industry. Especially for them, that side it's quite crazy. You can forget yourself, forget God.
True.
But to still stand, firm in who God is without compromising.
There we go.
I think it's something very, very exemplary and something that is worth emulating. Yeah.
May you utter the words. I started my career in the church.
But
you know what I mean?
how can we go?
You know we'll have a character building conversation, right? Yes. So those words will never be uttered. Never. And it's amazing how music has moved along, and it's refreshing to see how the industry has just blossomed, and now you have a young person who has the boldness to say, this is who I am. I'm gifted and I'm not going to fit or conform. What encouragement would you give to a person who knows they carry something special on the inside? They want to take it out there, but probably they're afraid of societal issues and the whole big parent issue. Like, are you serious?
Are you serious? You
want to change that? What would you say to a person who's probably struggling with that right now?
That's a big one. I think I would say trust God. Trust God, trust the process, trust what God is doing, and always hold on to the art and beauty of delayed gratification. Because even when we look in the Bible, we had, David, who was supposed to be king, but his first audience was sheep, when he killed that lion, when he killed that bear, no one to applaud, there was no one to say anything.
Exactly.
But that was preparing him for where God was taking him. There's so many moments of great people in the Bible who had to go through a certain season of their lives of waiting and just they don't understand what's going on. The Josephs and all of those people. But understanding that whatever it is that you're going through is shaping you for where God is taking you, I think is something very important that we need to carry with us. The importance of patience, the importance of endurance, because sometimes it will also be silent. Even for us, we have moments where there's moments of just silence. There's a season of silence.
Yeah.
That does not mean God has left you. That does not mean God is no longer using you. But just understanding the seasons God takes you through for the sake of the season coming, I think is very important. So understand what God has said. Be content with what God has placed in your hands. Do not say, Papa Fenda inembe sisi wainans. Papa Fenda inembe. Like, God, what have you called me to be? What's that influence you placed on me for the sake of your kingdom? For the sake of your glory, for your people. Yeah, I think I would say do your part as well. Preparation is a prerequisite for victory. That's something I learned from Teen Titans, right?
Oh, wow. Hey, wisdom hits you from the strangest sources. Oh, that's deep.
That's deep. Where is that from?
We'll hear it on stage. Preparation. You're like, oh, that's deep. Oh my God. Teen Titans. Okay.
But really, preparation is very important because sometimes we want to get to the end product.
Yeah.
But when we reached the stage, you're like, oh, actually, I wasn't even practicing. I wasn't practicing, you know. But do your part, and I promise you, God will do the rest. I'm a living testimony of that.
Ah, yes. We've watched this story unfold.
Yeah.
And we know this isn't you just doing the whole, motivational speaker bit. You know, I started my book with 2 feathers. No. We've watched this story unfold. We've watched you grow. And, I don't know, my mind wanders sometimes. And it's wandered back to CC Wine, as you've mentioned repeatedly.
Yes, yeah.
A radio DJ, I kid you not, when they still did the whole duet thing, Vivi and Cici, had never seen these artists before, never heard of them.
Yeah.
And they played this track and said, and that was a wonderful song from Bebe and Cheche. That happened. And it is also rumored that south of the border, it was said that was a song by Ubebe and Pepe. That's it's a story for another day. All right, back to serious business. If you use it, royalties, I'll give you the manager's number. And let's look at the future.
Yeah.
What future projects are we looking forward to if you're able to share?
Yes. Well, definitely more visuals, hopefully for the Omwana album.
Oh, yes.
And probably, I'll just put it out there, but it's one of my dreams to have what do they call it? Is it a collab album or album with Pompey and Africa Bigo?
Oh. Who's that?
There's a guy, around outside.
There's a little glimmer in your eye as you mentioned this guy's name. Baby says, what's going on here? Is there something?
Good.
Something we should know about what's going on here. Yeah, stuff that a brother doesn't like. Moving right along. And you highlight collaborations.
Yes.
And how have collaborations helped you grow over the years?
I think that's a very beautiful question. The power of collaboration, especially with music, is something that opens doors that you didn't even know can open. There's something about joining hands with someone who may have different influence on other people that you may not have, and you coming together. It's like you are introducing each other to each other's audiences,
Right.
So there's a beauty in that, and also just growth, because I get to grow whenever I collaborate with someone. I see a sense of growing. Like you learn something new, be it in the studio, or you're just maybe conversing about something, maybe music, maybe ministry, and something is just brought out, and you learn and you get that knowledge. So definitely, I would say the power of collaboration is very important. The saying "no man is an island" is actually very important for a musician, especially for an artist.
Yeah.
You can't be everything. Like you mentioned, you can't be your own manager, your own publicist, your own. You get tired.
Right.
You will not release what God has placed in you, because art, creativity has to be in a space of freedom as well. So you have to be in a certain state of mind. Because if you're thinking about who's bullying me, who's not bullying me, all of those things can blur what God is trying to say. So definitely collaboration is very important.
So you have a massive audience. How do you use that opportunity and platform that you've been given to do good for the community?
That's another beautiful question. I would say I've always loved, playing my part, especially in young girls' lives. And so there are orphanages and community spaces that we are connected to, that we always, try always to give back. There's My Light project that we started, my husband and I, and it's something that we actually want to take more seriously now, with the issue that we have with power, because there's children in examination classes who need, to study at night. And sometimes candles are not really the best answer.
That's what you're
Exactly. So we definitely want to put in more work with that, but definitely we try to give back by, just being in contact with, young girls, giving where we can, giving what we can, And definitely that helps us to also be responsible of what God has placed in our lives. Even as He's growing us, we also help the next person in one way or the other. So definitely that keeps me on my toes to see what next, what can we do next to be of help to the next person. It's actually interesting because I was watching, a millennial. I wish I was a Gen Z, but no, I'm not. I'm not. But I was watching a video on TikTok earlier, and it had this man who was unfortunately passed on. That's what the caption said. But he was sharing his life,
right,
and saying how he received Jesus Christ as his personal Lord and Savior at 16, and the first years of his young adult life were a little shaky financially, but God blessed him, and he started making so much money that according to him, he understood that 10% is for God, 90% you can do whatever it is you want.
Right.
So he said, I entered this life where it was just about what big house can we get into, but I got to the realization that God blesses us to be connected to the kingdom,
right,
for His work,
right,
for His glory.
Yeah.
Yes, so that really hit me because sometimes you can get so engrossed in this small bubble of when I make it, when I do finances, this is this, as long as I've given my 10%, but what else are you doing to help, people in the kingdom, to help people know about God, who do not have known about God. So definitely that also challenged me in a new sense, and that's something that I'd also love to grow on. Yeah.
I'd love to keep this conversation going. And
myself.
It's so much fun. One final question. What legacy would you like to leave? And if you had an opportunity to determine how people remember you, how would you like people to remember you?
Oh, that's a big one. Honestly, I would like to be remembered as Esther, the girl who truly, truly loved God, the girl who loved people, the girl who loved to laugh, and laugh with a big, loud laugh.
Yeah.
Yes. And really, at the end of the day, someone who stood for what she believed in.
Right.
I never want to be the person who's like, Esther and the other day, but truly to have that sense of standing for what is right, standing for God, standing even when things are shaking around you, knowing who you are in Christ, knowing whose you are because you are of Christ. You belong to God. I think that's something that I would love to be remembered by. I loved people. I loved God genuinely, and I loved to just be happy.
Yeah. Happy you are, and definitely you're a person whose journey has been inspiring to so many people, and long may that continue.
Amen.
Awesomeness. You've been live on Nkwazi Unfiltered, the place where we have conversations with people and get to hear stuff that nobody except Nkwazi Unfiltered digs up, because we're curious like that. It's awesome. We've had the amazing, the gifted, the gorgeous, the bubbly, the happy, the married to Mr. Nyatando, Esther Chungu Nyatando, songbird extraordinaire and gospel artist who has been at the forefront of bringing forth the gospel and taking it to stages that most people can only dream of. My name's Kamiza Chikula. It's been awesome, and catch you on the next Nkwazi Unfiltered.